Hi, and welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk. You are listening to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Brian Fisher is my name, your congenial, convivial, and amiable host. As always, you are listening to Focal Point on the American Family Radio Talk Network, AFR Talk. You know, one of the issues we deal with in this program all the time is the issue of the family. We're concerned about the health and the future of our sons. We're concerned about the health and the future of our daughters. We are not called the American Family Association for no reason. We want America to be the friendliest place in the world to raise a family. And part of that is making our daughters aware of what surrounds them, preparing them for adulthood, preparing them to make good choices. And we're honored to welcome to our decision maker line, Elayne Bennett. Elayne is the president of the Best Friends Foundation. Maybe have her talk to us just in a moment about that. But she's the author. Elayne is the author of a brand new book called Daughters in Danger. Elayne, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Elayne, I haven't had a chance to finish your book. I'm about halfway through it. It's a great book. It's a superb book. I can recommend it without hesitation to people in our listening audience. Any of our listeners that have concerns about their own daughters, about their daughters who are raising daughters, about their granddaughters, about their friends who have daughters, anybody who has a daughter, this is a book I would highly encourage you to get, Daughters in Danger by Elayne Bennett. So, Elayne, Daughters in Danger, tell us why you picked that title.
Well, because today, Brian, our culture is more vulgar, it's more violent, and it's more sexualized than ever before. And our daughters are paying a price for that. The daughters who have succumbed to the culture are. And we need to, as parents, become more vigilant in protecting our daughters. We need to stand up and speak out. We need to help instruct our daughters about what they're about to face before they face it. Start young. Pay attention. We need to realize that social media has had a big impact on girls and boys' behavior as young as 4th, 5th, 6th grade. We know that bullying has increased. 30% of our students in middle school say they either bully others or are bullied. We know that's an issue. We know 85% of our middle schoolers now have cell phones. So they're hooked up to a whole world that parents have very little control over unless they take action there. We know also that the hookup culture on college campuses is a very serious one. Nearly 1 in 5 girls on college campuses have been sexually assaulted, and only 12% ever report that. These are things that, as conservatives and as Christians, we need to take action on.
Well, Elayne, you've got chapters on various topics. Everyone is poignant. Everyone is on point. Everyone is very pragmatic and practical. And I want to have you give us kind of a sneak preview of what the message you're trying to communicate in this book, Daughters in Danger by Elayne Bennett. You've got a chapter on the importance of the home, the importance of the family of origin. So talk to us a little bit about why the home is an important factor in preparing girls for adulthood.
Well, that's where we set the example, Brian. That's where we give the message to our girls. Are they valued or not to be valued? That's where we set the standards. That's where fathers can let girls know that they're to value their bodies and that they're to expect to be treated in a respectful way. That's where mothers can teach their girls that if they want to have self-respect, that they need to exercise self-control. And frankly, the family is what we've got as the bulwark against the popular culture right now.
Now
we don't have a lot else. We have the church and we have the home.
You know, and it's interesting. I read a book on propaganda by Jacques Ellul. He's deceased now, but a great French sociologist, philosopher. And, you know, he said the basic antidote against propaganda is the small group. And that's why in socialist cultures, they try to break down small groups. They try to break down the church because they try to break down the nuclear family because these are small groups that provide some kind of insulation, some kind of protection from propaganda, the propaganda that comes at us from the world. And that's essentially what you're saying is the family is the basic place where we can prepare our kids and insulate them, at least for a time, from some of those dangers and prepare them to respond to those impulses when they come. Now, it's interesting to me that that when you talk about fathers, the chapter on fathers is not just about what fathers can do, but it's also about what brothers can do. Give us a sneak preview about what brothers can do for their sisters to protect them from danger.
Well, brothers need to take a stand. When they see boys acting out of line, they need to take on a protective role. Brothers can be, particularly big brothers, can intervene if they see boys acting out of line, if they see boys doing something that could be potentially dangerous to a girl. And it's not just physical, but verbal abuse. You know, boys, you can stand up to a bully if you call them out on it. And interestingly, the young people who do stand up tend to become leaders. Others follow their example. But they've got to be encouraged to do that and to understand, you know, and best friends, the peer group is something that we pay a lot of attention to. Obviously, the home and the family is important. But when our children go to school, their time with their family becomes more and more limited. Social media, we just discovered 7 hours average is the amount of time that students from ages 8 through 18 spend in some kind of entertainment media, whether it's television, whether it's internet, whether it's, you know, texting. And we've got to understand this is a huge amount of time, greater than ever we've experienced in our society. So we need to monitor the time in online. We need to monitor what's going on with the texting and the cell phones.
You know,
but back to brothers, we need to, if we have big brothers in the home of little sisters, empower them to take action. Let them know that we expect them to be the protectors of the girls.
Well, and part
not
of what,
only in our own home, but other girls.
Yeah, and part of the implication of what you were saying, Elayne, is recognizing that the responsibility of males in a society and in a family is to serve as protectors. A father is to be there to provide a shelter, protection for his wife, for their children. That's the role of big brothers. And just a word to fathers in discharging their responsibility to protect their daughters. You know, it strikes me that a lot of fathers sometimes are hesitant to step in and do what they should do as fathers because they're afraid that their daughters will become angry with them. And so sort of out of that timidity, I guess they don't do it because they don't want to alienate their daughters. No father wants to do that. But there may be times, Elayne, when a father, if he loves his daughter and wants to protect her from harm, may have to step in there and simply say, look, this is not something that's going to happen.
Well, absolutely. The father must be present in his daughter's life and help her see clearly what some of these behaviors that can lead to real negative activity among her peers, and to speak up. And frankly, to do that, he's got to build a relationship with her, get to know her, talk to her about what he sees for her, what he wants to see for her in her future, to understand what real happiness is. And happiness takes place over the long haul. It's not immediate gratification. It's about honor and truth and decency and faith. And having a family and being proud of your country. And I think that's one of the things that it's sad to me that fathers, either because they're working too hard or because they're getting the message from society, don't rock the boat, or if you want your daughter or your son to like you, you've got to give them things and don't hassle them too much. They'll be fine. They'll grow out of it. That's not always true. They have to have some grounding, and they have to, in fact, students will say, I feel better when I have rules. I feel better when I have a curfew.
Yeah, there's security in that for them. Yeah.
And we know that. We know that's what children need.
Now, Elayne,
it's not about being popular anymore. It's about having the kinds of instincts and nurturing the kinds of character that will stand them or hold them in good stead for the rest of their lives.
You know, when my kids were younger, Elayne, early teenage years, and there were times when I had to say no to things they really wanted to do, and they'd be very unhappy. And I remember telling them one
I
time.
know.
Yeah, I remember telling them one time, look, my responsibility as your father is not to give you a happy childhood. My responsibility as your father is to prepare you to be a mature, responsible adult. And then I would leave the room, and then I'd stick my head back inside the door, and I'd said, oh, by the way, in case this question comes up in the future, you are having a happy childhood. Sometimes they needed to be reminded of that. But Elayne,
Right.
you're the founder and the president of the Best Friends Foundation, and it's a great work, a great organization, and you had that foundation. What you do has had a remarkable impact on the lives of vulnerable girls where you have worked, and that stresses the importance of mentoring, and it also stresses the importance of peer groups. And maybe say a word. We've got about 60 seconds left. Maybe say a word to young women that are maybe late in their teenage years, maybe heading off to college. How important surrounding themselves with the right peer groups is for them?
Oh, it's vital. It's vital because your friends are key. And we say in best friends, the best kind of friend to have is the person who makes you a better person.
Mm.
And you seek out friends who have the kinds of integrity and the kinds of values you have, and that you like yourself better when you're with them. If you don't like yourself so much after you've spent a night out with your friends, maybe you need to rethink who your friends are.
Mm. Our guest has been Elayne Bennett. She's the president and founder of the Best Friends Foundation. And maybe, Elayne, just in 30 seconds, if you can, summarize what the work of the Best Friends Foundation is.
Well, our work was to focus on building character. We started with young girls in the 6th grade back in 1987. We followed our girls program into high school. And then we began because the principals of the school said, hey, this works so well. We want this for our young men, for our boys. And we talked to them very clearly early on to say no to sex, drugs, and alcohol, and to say yes to achievement, to having goals for the future, to investing in their future by doing the kinds of things that make them feel good about themselves, to help others, to reach out to others who might need a helping hand. When you help others, you help yourself.
Our guest
So
has
we have
been
a lot of great opportunities there.
Our guest has been Elayne Bennett, author of a great brand new book, Daughters in Danger, highly recommended, president and founder of the Best Friends Foundation. Elayne, thank you for taking time to be with us.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, Brian.